Hey everyone, welcome to something new and probably a bit shocking. This is RuneScape 3, which is a game that I have not really played since 2013. I played it obviously before Old School and then a little bit after Old School on my main account before returning to Old School again for the long term. And I've been playing it again for maybe a week and a half now, not too long. This account is a free-to-play Ironman on RuneScape 3. RuneScape 3 only has regular and hardcore Ironman, no UIM. Not the UIM I think would really make much sense on here anyways. So I just chose a regular Ironman because I don't care about hardcore. I only really play this game for XP, and after learning a bit about what rs3 free-to-play Ironman meta looks like, I became kind of curious. Just as a side project, as you can see, don't worry, the free-to-play Ultimate on Old School is still on screen, and I've been playing it the whole time, and I think the goal longer term for the rs3 account is to be a nice AFK side project during some of the less interesting skills on the free-to-play UAM, like crafting or rune crafting, where the most efficient method is still not very click intensive, so it's kind of boring and really asking for another account to be played at the same time. So the free-to-play UIM on Old School is still the focus and still the account that I care about the most and value XP on the most. But yeah, I decided to just hop on this game mode and learn about it. It's always fun to learn about a whole new skilling meta and see if I enjoyed it, see if it feels like a good side project. I've been playing my Old School main account very inconsistently as a side project, but it's just not satisfying to me at all. Something about it is just, I just don't enjoy it anymore. So I decided to try this and see how I like it. So as I've been playing, I've been obviously trying to gather as much information as possible because I love to kind of try to solve the skilling meta of different game modes, and I'm doing this still fairly often on Old School free-to-play Ironman, but at this point most stuff is figured out until the new update happens. So now it's kind of just carrying out the plan, and that will be the case probably pretty soon on this game mode because I've already learned quite a lot, but there's probably still some stuff that I don't totally know about or still need to figure out. So obviously this game is quite different from Old School. I was kind of expecting the XP rates to be a bit higher than they actually seem to be, but they're still obviously quite a bit higher than like Old School free-to-play Ironman. But most skills in this game, for free-to-play Ironman at least, are between like 70 to 200k XP an hour, in that general range. I don't know if there's any skill that's on average is slower than like 60k, but I could be off there. And then like I think maybe dungeoneering is the fastest skill if you're good at it, at around 2 or 300k XP an hour from what I've heard, but I haven't really done that much of it myself. And there's a fair amount of skills that are in the like 60 to 100k XP an hour range. That's where like most skills are. So pretty decent XP rates. Like going for 200 mils is fairly significant for most skills, which is nice. But almost everything is AFK or semi-AFK. There's not too much where you gain much benefit from paying attention, or if you do, it's like a pretty small benefit. I think probably dungeoneering is where you need to pay the most attention, and where like being good at it and playing efficiently really can make a big difference, because it's not something you can AFK really at all. And in general, this game has a lot of changes in the free-to-play mode compared to Old School. There's a lot of stuff that was added, I think in like 2017 or something like that. I could be wrong, but yeah, a fair amount of time ago, they added a lot of like low-tier pay-to-play stuff to free-to-play in this game. So this game has blue dragon hide, it has the fletching skill, and it has dragons up to blue dragons, and dragon bones. It has mystic robes, and I'm trying to think what else. A fair amount of other stuff that I probably missed. So a lot of the stuff that I guess is kind of dead content in Old School also for pay to play is best in slot and free to play here. which I guess sort of makes sense. It gives the game, it makes the game feel, I guess, a bit more different from old school, which sort of appeals to me right now. Just something new. If the game was the same as old school, but just different graphics and a combat system, then I probably wouldn't be as interested. But the skilling methods are actually fairly different for a lot of skills. So I haven't recorded any clips yet on this account. I've kind of just been playing, so there won't be much footage yet of all the early game stuff that I did, but I did write down my general progression path. So I'll give you guys a quick overview of just what the early game of this game would look like for me. I actually started this account quite a few years ago. It may have been like 2018 or something. I don't even know. Maybe it was later than that, but it was actually a long time ago that I made this account, and it was, created as a free-to-play Ironman, and I got as far as training combats to like 20 or so, and then got bored and stopped playing, and only returned to it a week and a half ago. So basically I logged in with like 20 base combat stats, and I think I had like 45 magic, so that was kind of nice. And I trained that at Trolls in Berthorpe. Berthorpe is free to play, and so is Taverley, and there's a cave there full of trolls that used to be really fast XP, because it used to be almost more similar to Classic in how you get XP from monsters, which is that it wasn't based on the monster's HP, it was just random. So some monsters were really OP back then, and then they changed that so that all monsters give XP based on their HP, I think in the last few years. So that was actually a pretty big nerf, I believe, to combat rates, especially for... I messed up. A little aside, so I have this ore box, so you can store 120 of each type of ore, and so I'm mining this, which is basically coal and runite. And I should have left my inventory open so that I could mine runite and store that as well. And now I'm going to the bank. Ores can be stored in these forges. So I wasn't planning to talk about this yet, but mining and smithing on this game got an enormous rework. So runite is tier 50, both for mining and for like smithing, and for the level that you need to equip it. But anyways, so yeah, normally I'd mine 120 luminite, put it all in the box, and then mine 120 runite, and then fill the inventory, and then deposit it all. So that way the trip is like twice as many ores, basically. Don't have to run to the bank as often. And the mining system in this game is, if you click the rock every 4 ticks, which is the mining speed, then you get 100% damage, basically. Each swing does damage to the rock. If you let your yellow or orange bar go all the way down here, then you're mining at 90%, and then once the bar is fully depleted, then you're mining at 20%. So you basically AFK at 90% efficiency for like 30 seconds-ish, and then once the top bar fills up, that's when you get an ore. And that's the mining system. The rocks never deplete. Also, if you can be bothered to click these ones, they're called rockertunities. Whenever it starts sparkling like that, and you just do 5x damage or something like that. So if you're paying a little bit more attention, you get a bit of a boost also. But it's still pretty turbo AFK unless you actually can be bothered to click every 4 ticks for 10% faster XP, which I can't be, and I'd rather play a different account that's more fun. So yeah, anyways, basically when I got back on, the first thing I did was train all of the pay-to-play skills to their cap, because in this game, the pay-to-play skills, you can train them to level 5 in most cases, and then archaeology and necromancy, you can train to level 20. And the reason that it's good to do this is because this game has daily challenges, and once you've gotten to the max level, you can turn off daily challenges for a skill. So you don't want to be getting daily challenges for member skills. So you get those to the max level in free-to-play, and then you can block all those off. Daily challenge is probably my least favorite thing about this game, because it really does affect the meta, because at 99 in a skill, I think each challenge is like 26k XP, and you get 3 of them per day. So that alone can save almost like an hour of a slow skill every single day. And also you kind of want to design your skills around that so that you get the fast skills to 99 as soon as you can, so you can block those and then get dailies in the slower skills. I would prefer to just focus on one or two skills that I am interested in and ignore the rest, but that's kind of inefficient, unfortunately. But aside from dailies, I feel like this game has kind of given me what I'm looking for, which is a pretty low intensity AFK side project that has still pretty like decent XP rates and feels like a skilling focused game. So after that, I was basically following, for the most part, I was following a guide that someone named Magda wrote. It's a few years old, so some things were a little outdated, but it was mostly up to date. So I'll put that in the description for people who are curious. The main thing that's different is choosing which monster to kill, because it used to be that some monsters were pretty OP for XP, and now they're all just pretty much based on your DPS. So one of the first things I did was kill some corpse spiders in the Lumbridge catacombs, because they drop spider silk, which is used to craft low-level mage armor. And you can sell that to the general store for pretty quick GP early on. So I did that to make about 150k just to be able to afford like early game gear and stuff like that. In this game, selling stuff to the general store, the price doesn't deplete, so you can sell 1 million of a noted item. You can sell it in one at once, and it will all sell for the same price. But also buying items from shops is actually pretty nerfed compared to old school, because shops restock really slowly and in some cases on a daily basis. So I think you can only buy like 10k feathers per day on free-to-play Ironman. This is editing automalgy. Just kidding about that. Actually, you can only buy 2,000 feathers a day on this game mode, which is insane. So it takes a really long time just doing your daily feathers to collect enough feathers for fishing and fletching, which is kind of annoying. I think runes also, the shops only stock like 300 runes, and those restock once a day, so you're pretty limited on those as well. And after that, I trained mining and smithing to level 50, got my rune pickaxe and my rune axe, and you can also make this ore box, and you upgrade it as your smithing level goes up to be able to hold higher tier ores. And I kind of rounded out some skills as I was going. The longer term goal was to go for like the Lumbridge Diary requirements, because the Lumbridge Diary is free to play in this game. I did Runespan to level 54. That's the fastest way to train RC by quite a bit, as far as I know. And then eventually got Runespan to 57. Rune crafting at Runespan to 57, because that's the requirement for the Lumbridge Diary. And it's pretty quick there. I don't know, I wasn't paying that much attention, but maybe I was getting like 50k an hour, but I didn't have urns, which, for those who don't know, urns are basically like pottery that you make and then enchant, and then they give you 20% bonus XP in the skill that you make them for. And there are urns for rune crafting now, which is relatively new. I didn't have those because you need to use pure essence to create urns for rune crafting, and pure essence you can only get as drops from a couple different high level monsters in free to play, so I haven't quite gotten there yet. So I probably won't train rune crafting again until I've gotten some pure S, because the 20% XP boost is pretty huge. But I wanted to get to the Lumbridge Diary as soon as I could, and even without urns it's still pretty quick. And once again, like semi AFK, not super AFK. Also early on I did a bit of dungeoneering and crafting. You can train crafting really fast in dungeoneering by buying the lowest tier like leather basically for dungeoneering from the shop there. So you collect as much GP as you can in the dungeon and alch some items in there, and then you buy all these leathers, and then you can craft basically d'hide bodies, or like whatever hide bodies, and it's 100 XP each, and you one tick them, so it's like incredibly fast while you're doing it. So it's a good way to train crafting early on. Can't remember exactly what I needed the crafting for, but yeah, it's pretty free XP, and it's worth doing all the time. Whenever you're dungeoneering, is always worth collecting as much GP as you can and doing some crafting. And then I trained magic at Cockroach Soldiers, which are in the Stronghold of Player Safety, which is near Edgeville. I trained magic to 55 so I could high alch, because that's a very useful spell, especially in dungeoneering. After that, I trained my melees up a bit more in the Lumbridge Catacombs, because it's a spot that has good, very low to low level monsters to work up your stats at. And then I got crafting to level 50 at Gem Rocks. In this game, there are Gem Rocks in free-to-play. There are ones in Al-Kharid that drop Sapphire, Emerald, and Ruby, and they're pretty quick to mine, so I did that to train crafting, and then I sold the gems in Al-Kharid. And I made a pretty decent amount of GP from that as well. I was getting it to 50 so I could make all the different tiers of urns, and also for the Lumbridge Diary. After that, I made some urns for all the different skills, aside from mining, because I think mining is probably 0 times, so I don't know if I need to bother making urns for it. But yeah, urns for everything else, to have those ready to use whenever I need to train. And then I did a few quests. In this game, there are a lot more quests in free-to-play, and I still haven't done most of them, but I did enough to get 33 quest points, which is the requirement for entering the Champions Guild. So I just chose ones that were really quick and gave a lot of quest points, and I think almost all of these are useless. The only one I've considered doing is Broken Home, but it seems kind of long, but apparently you can replay it every week and you get a big XP drop, so it's like kind of worth doing, but it's not a big time save, so I can't really be bothered. In this game, you don't need to do Rune Mysteries to be able to mine Essence, which is weird. And Rune Mysteries was totally reworked. It seems kind of longer and complicated. But yeah, I think questing is probably done in this game now. I don't think any of these are really very useful, and I'm not going to bother doing them unless they have a use. I'm not trying to play for any kind of completion. I'm purely interested in XP. So Champions Guild is useful because the shops upstairs not only sell a bunch of rune equipment, but also they sell blue d'hide and mystic stuff. So the highest tier, well, not the highest, but like the tier 50 stuff, there's also tier 55 stuff from Dungeoneering, but a lot of it is best in slot. So that's useful. In this game, you also don't need to complete Dragon Slayer to wield the plate bodies. You just can't buy them from the Champions Guild, but you can craft them. So I've already, except for I don't quite have the crafting level for the mage top, but I've already made the rest. So, and it's only 2 more levels, so I don't need to bother doing Dragon Slayer. The XP is sort of nice, but I don't know if it's actually worth the time. So after doing some questing, I just continued training up my stats. I think I did stats to 40 at the Catacombs, and then at that point I started killing ghosts, because in this game there is something called cremation, and you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of unlocking the ability to use cremation when you're killing ghosts. And what cremation does is it allows you to use bones on a fire, and you burn the bones and you get 2.5 times the normal prayer XP, and you also get fire making XP. So that's extremely good. It makes prayer, 2.5 times faster than it otherwise would be in this game, which is enormous. So definitely wanted to get that unlocked so that I could train prayer efficiently. So once you unlock that, you can kill blue dragons. They're pretty fast to kill, and you can cremate the bones for 180 prayer XP each, and then 144 fire making XP. So it's quite good compared to any alternative. There is something called the Nexus that you can do to train up to level 40, or you can get 37k XP off of it. I did actually do that, but I kind of wish I hadn't, because it's a lot slower than just killing blue dragons once you have moderately good stats. But also there was nobody there, and I think it's a lot faster if you have a group of people to do it together. So yeah, I trained ranged and defense at ghosts because they're weak to ranged, and got those from 40 up to 51 and 54. And just a couple hours ago, I finally got, well, I shouldn't say finally, I was actually under the rate, but I got cremation unlocked. I think it was like 600 KC. I killed ghosts in the Stronghold of Security, and I think the drop rate's 1 in 1,000, so spooned. I'm happy about that. I hate RNG goals. So that's nice. Now I can finally play the game, sort of. Aside from that, I've been kind of doing mining and smithing, like AFK smithing when I really need to AFK, because it's one of the most AFK things I've found so far. And then mining is like semi-AFK, so I can do that like in the evening. And then I've done a bit of woodcutting, fire making, fletching also. I've mostly been smithing rune arrowheads. It seems that you do a mix of arrowheads and then rune armor sets, which you can then turn into rune burial armor sets, which gives extra XP. But you need some rune arrows for fletching. So I'd like to get my fletching up, because you need 75 fletching to make rune arrows, and then once I get that, then you can sell the arrows to the shops and get pretty good GP. By the time I get there, I'll have a lot, because I'm going to have to make, at level 45, I think I'm going to have to make arrowheads with maple logs until 55, and then after that I can make some maple shield bows, which is basically longbows. I don't really want to bother wasting logs on anything until I get to the shield bow level, so fletching arrow shafts from 45 to 55 will take a bit of time, but then 55 to 75 I'll do the shield bows and just drop them probably, and then after that I'll be able to make a bunch of rune arrows and get a bunch of fast XP and also a bunch of money. So that's pretty much what I've been up to so far on this account. I feel like I've gotten a lot of the annoying early game stuff out of the way, and now I can mostly just chill, AFK, do what I was planning to do, start the longer term grinds, which is what I was looking forward to. And it's one of the things I like about free-to-play, even on this game, which is a bit more complex in some ways, I guess. You can still get to the quote-unquote end game very quickly, as in like unlocking most of the efficient long-term skilling methods. Main things I still need to do are, there's a lot of useful dungeoneering rewards, so I need to do more dungeoneering, but still dealing with wrist issues, so I'm kind of limited on how much I can actually pay attention and be clicking on the game. But I'll slowly be working on that. There's some useful unlocks for skilling, and then there's some best in slot combat equipment also. And dungeoneering is also interesting because it you can train skills within dungeons. So like the fishing is very fast compared to the main game, which you would still just be doing trout and salmon just like old school. So you get some amount of fishing bonus XP, and it's probably worth cooking those fish also. And then the crafting is really good as well. And you can also get pretty good mining and woodcutting XP, but I'm not sure if those are worth doing, because it seems like mining and woodcutting are sort of 0-time skills to support smithing and then fletching and fire making. So I killed some blue dragons and I banked the last few bones, because I am one away from getting 45 prayer, which is my last requirement for the Lumbridge Diary, which has kind of been my early game goal. It's not enormously useful, but the ring gives you 15 free alks per day. You can teleport to the cabbage patch, and I think it's best in slot ring also, like for combat. So useful thing to get out of the way, and I have a bunch of junk in my bank that I want to alk. In this game you can buy nature and law runes because the mage bank is free to play, so you can buy them from that shop. But I've been too lazy to go up there. I've just been waiting to get this, and then I'll use the free alks to alk my junk items and clean out my bank. So if I can find where the prayer is, I think the task is to turn this on, and then yeah. All right, so that's achievement diary's done. Now I need to figure out where to go to claim my ring. And I'll check my age at Hans, or check my time played, just to see how long it took to get to this point. Definitely wasn't purely speedrunning the diary, since I did some extra other AFK training and stuff. But I'm gonna guess I've probably played maybe 80 hours, but let's see. 4 days, 9 hours. All right, so a little over 100 hours actually. This account is kind of old, but not played very much. So yeah, a little over 100 hours to sort of almost finish most of the free-to-play goals. This is where, Jagex probably wants me to get pay-to-play now. Okay, so that's annoying. I have to actually claim each ring from a different NPC instead of just getting the highest tier ring from this guy, because I haven't claimed any of them yet. So I need to figure out where to get it from. Alright, I claimed both of the lower tier rings, and apparently Ned gives both of the higher tier rings, and I guess some XP lamps too. Alright, I don't care. Now give me the best one. Nice. Yeah, so this has, I think it's best in slot bonuses, pretty good. And let's see how much XP I get from these. I think prayer is probably the choice still. I think it's still one of the slowest skills, and it's also one of my lowest. Unavailable. What level do I need? Level 49. Yeah, that's annoying. I guess probably smithing. Smithing or rune crafting. I think I'll do smithing. Oh, it got me a level. Nice. Alright, cool. So, on to bigger and better things. So yeah, a lot of the early game annoying busy work is done now, so I can start working on grinding for higher skill levels. I think if dailies didn't exist, I would probably just focus on mining and smithing. And I guess I'd have to get fletching up too for making arrows. But because dailies exist, they allow you to block all the combat dailies for some reason, so I don't really need to train those, but like it would be pretty useful to get fire making and cooking and like wood cutting and maybe mining to 99, because those are all skills that I don't really want the daily challenge XP to go into. Ideally, I think I'd want all of it to go into, I don't know, maybe smithing or maybe crafting. I guess prayer is probably good also, but with prayer, there's a lot of bonus XP involved, so it makes the calcs a bit more complicated. But yeah, all of these skills can be AFK'd to some degree, so they'll just take a fair amount of time to get the 99s, but it won't be particularly difficult, it doesn't seem like. And aside from that, I just need to do some more dungeoneering to unlock a few of the perks. There's like one that gives you a chance for extra bars while smithing, so that would be good to get soon. And then there's one that saves some hides while crafting, and then just equipment if I decide to train combat. I have to kind of see, maybe combat is as AFK in this game as it is on old school, for example, and if that was the case, then I'd be interested, because AFK to that degree is always useful to have. It's basically just free XP. But yeah, let me know if you find this kind of stuff interesting. Might be a side project that pops up on the channel from time to time. Seems like kind of fun and is meeting the expectations that I had for it. Definitely not a game mode that I think I would want to main, because a lot of skilling looks like this, but it just seems like a pretty nice little side project that I could really grind for a long time. I haven't done the math, but I'm guessing the hours Sir Tumor Bilal would be fairly similar to old school pay-to-play, maybe pay-to-play Ironman, somewhere in like the 15 to 20k hours range, I would guess, so no small feat, but certainly not as intensive as a lot of the old school methods by any means. But yeah, thanks all for listening to this ramble. Hope you found it fun or interesting or whatever. It's definitely something a bit different, but I do think that rs3 free-to-play Ironman and maybe even pay-to-play Ironman would appeal to a lot of old school players if they can get past the graphics and the combat system, which doesn't take a huge amount of effort to get past. I don't feel like it just is a little bit of a hurdle. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all again soon, probably with some old school progress next time.